Hello everyone, I'm Railgun Gecko and welcome to today's video. With the recent increase in the Destiny 1 player base, I wanted to come up with a shopping list of weapons that are all around great for all levels of PvE. I know that there will be some very niche things that are going to be left out, mainly since I'm not a big part of the speedrunning or low man space, but as someone who's been back and playing consistently for about 6 months and a total of 10 years of general Destiny experience, I think I have some solid recommendations for players of every level. Please note that I'm not going to be including any Year 1 gear in this list. Some Year 1 weapons have really cool, strong, or unique perk options, but since they're difficult to earn or no longer available, and not to mention worthless in just about every mid to end game activity, we're not going to look at them at all today. We'll start with heavy weapons, then special and primaries, going through weapon type by weapon type with their exotics first. I'll have YouTube chapters so that you can skip around to different recommendations. This list is my opinion of the gear that you should try to get to be a well-rounded player. If I missed something, or you think that something else should be included, or disagree with anything, please let me know in the comments. With all that being said, thank you for watching, and let's get into it. Rockets will start us off, and of course, the exotic recommendation is our GOAT Gallowhorn, a real workhorse that'll cover all of your bases, with great crowd control and boss damage. Though it isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for rockets, hence the legendary recommendations. For legendary rockets, you pretty much just want something with cluster bombs. That's about it, but I do have two specific rockets in mind that I want to recommend. Both are fairly easy to obtain thanks to them being vendor weapons. First is Unto Dust 00 from Dead Orbit, and second is the Warpath from Future War Cult. Unto Dust is slightly better due to its higher rate of fire and reload speed, but since both can get Field Scout, Tripod, and Cluster Bombs, it makes them fantastic for boss damage, especially against Axis and Wrath of the Machine. I will also recommend Hunger of Crota. It's a static roll rocket from Crota's End with tracking and cluster bombs, basically a Diet Gallowhorn. Though it has one downside, and that's that it has one fewer rockets in its reserve compared to the previously mentioned rockets. Other than that, it's a solid option. An honorable mention is the Suros JLB-47. As far as I know, it's the only legendary rocket to have the surplus perk in its pool, which gives it some pretty cool utility. Before we continue, I want to quickly explain the surplus perk due to how heavily I'm going to be recommending it. The surplus perk description in-game is as follows. Quote, expect to find more ammo for this weapon. Increases carried ammo capacity. End quote. I can't really comment on the increased ammo reserve size, but I do know that any ammo brick that drops when you have a gun with surplus equipped will give you double the ammo. So for rockets, you'd get 3 or 4 rockets from a single brick compared to 1 or 2. And these ammo bricks keep the double ammo even if you swap off of your surplus gun, though future bricks will be the normal amount. It makes it really, really useful to swap to when you're running low on ammo. Next is machine guns, and honestly I don't really recommend any of the exotics. Not because they're weak, but because there are way better options than the 3 flavors of Thunderlord, Super Good Advice, and Nemesis Star. For legendaries, I recommend Corrective Measure from Vault of Glass because it has surplus, and any 77 rate of fire machine gun with an ability return perk. Machine guns, in my opinion, are best for when you're using a special weapon for your boss damage and need a heavy hitter to clear out adds and higher health targets. Now swords. Of course, the main recommendations are Razelator and Dark Drinker. Arccaster is also great, though it has fewer use cases due to its damage profile. However, its ability to generate tons of orbs of light makes up for that in certain situations. Unfortunately, all the legendary swords kind of suck because they don't have heavy attacks. They're pretty decent for movement or for cheesing something with the block if you need either a special or primary exotic, but other than that, they just aren't worth using in PvE at all. And to round out our heavy weapons, we have Sleeper Simulant, the only heavy fusion rifle in Destiny 1. It has incredible total damage, great DPS, making it no slouch in endgame PvE, especially in raids. Definitely worth picking up. To start off our special weapons, we're going to go over snipers. For exotics, there is, of course, Black Spindle. Incredible total damage and DPS makes it a top option for long damage phases and high health targets. My second exotic sniper recommendation is Icebreaker. Being able to generate ammo over time is extremely useful, especially in Solar Burn Nightfalls where long range is your friend. It's also great to swap to in the 390 Templar fight when you run out of heavy and your legendary special, so that way you can keep a steady stream of damage that isn't a scout rifle. For legendary snipers, my recommendations are fairly simple. Mainly Ex Machina from Wrath of the Machine. It has both spray and play and wait for it, so reloading the mag when it's empty not only greatly increases your reload speed, but it also throws another round in the magazine, giving you just a full-on DPS increase. It's a solid all-rounder. Though if you would prefer something different, I recommend other snipers of that archetype, which are Event Horizon and Devil's Dawn. They're both great if you get the right rolls. A more niche recommendation I have is for either the Tomar D or Eofa, the other Hawkeye sniper. These are both fantastic because, as far as I know, they're the only legendary special weapons that can come with surplus, at least infusible ones. Damage profiles aren't perfect, however, the surplus perk just more than makes up for it. So you can keep a solid special weapon equipped while not having to swap off your main damage heavy and still get the double ammo bricks. It's awesome. Shotgun recommendations are super easy. All you need is Found Verdict from Vault of Glass, or any shotgun with the Found Verdict roll of full auto and final round. There are quite a few that you can get with this combo, but since Found Verdict is a static roll, it's the easiest one to get. For exotics, I would recommend Invective mainly because it has the full auto final round roll, and it can generate its own ammo. Fusion rifles, while decently strong, don't have the same efficacy as snipers and shotguns in most higher level content, particularly raids. The main downside is the fact that they require a charge before firing. But outside of raids, they can be quite good with the right perks or activity modifiers. My exotic recommendation is Telesto. Its effectively infinite range makes it a very safe option, and its explosive projectiles are great for clearing out groups. Not to mention, it can generate a lot of orbs. Always useful. For legendary fusions, I only have 2 recommendations, and both are from raids. First is Ether Nova from Wrath, and second is Praetorian Foil from Vault of Glass. Ether Nova has amazing ability return thanks to Army of 1 and 2 for 1, and Praetorian Foil has very high damage, is really easy to control, and has some pretty solid perks. Now Sidearms. You're so awesome in PvP, but you suck in PvE. I can't make any honest recommendations for PvE sidearms just because of how weak they are. I understand why they're special weapons in Destiny 1. Having a high ammo short range option that isn't the primary is convenient for PvP, but it just has no use case in PvE, unfortunately, so no recommendations. To start off our primary weapons, we have pulse rifles, a fairly reliable weapon type with some pretty potent exotics. My exotic recommendations are Bad Juju for its incredible super regeneration, Red Death for its healing, and Outbreak Prime for just an all-rounder. For legendary options, I don't really have many because I don't use pulses in PvE. Well, I rarely use them. I would recommend Smite of Moraine and Partheon Shot primarily. If you can control the really bouncy recoil Smite of Moraine, it's a very solid option. And Partheon Shot just has some good rolls and is very consistent and has pretty high damage. I recently got an Apple of Discord with Crowd Control and Feeding Frenzy, which has been really fun. But since it's not super easy to get or so strong that you really need it, I'm not going to recommend it really. Maybe similar rolls on other pulse rifles would be really good, but that's about all I have for pulse rifles. Auto rifles, where ease of use and effectiveness unite. I really like autos, and I've got a lot of recommendations. First, Fabian Strategy, the Titan-specific exotic. Intrinsic crowd control for a good damage perk. Life support, always awesome. A partial reload on kill and a rate of fire increase when enemies are nearby makes it just a real workhorse. It is incredible. The only downside that it has is that only Titans can experience its glory. Hunters and Warlocks could use Suros Regime for a healing auto rifle, but it's just nowhere near as good. Next is the ever-popular Zalo Supercell. Its Chain Lightning makes it really great for grouped up enemies, and double kills give you extra super and a partial reload. It also has arc damage, which makes it great for heroic strikes when it's arc burn. The same goes for Necrochasm. The Cursed Thrall explosions that it causes on any enemy kill, unlike the Year 1 version's precision kills, make it great for clearing out big groups, and Zen Moment makes the recoil extremely easy to control. Very fun. For legendary autos, I recommend Genesis Chain. I love Genesis Chain. It's really easy to control. The Firefly makes it great, and it's super easy to obtain. I also recommend a high stability roll of a max rate of fire auto rifle. They can stagger enemies easily, and they have pretty decent reserve size. An ability return perk or damage perk is recommended with the high stability as well. My niche recommendation is 0 Day Dilemma or the Continental with close and or personal. As far as I know, these are the easiest, if not the only current primaries that can get that perk. Easy access to melee damage increases are pretty rare in Destiny 1, and it's worth picking one up, even if it just sits in your vault. Hand cannons. They are the bread and butter of Destiny. They feel incredible, hit like trucks, and are just all around top tier weapons. This is one of the few weapon types where I think the legendaries are generally better than the exotics, though I'll still recommend a couple exotics. First is Thorn. It may not be super easy to obtain, but the damage over time that it provides and its strong base stats make it extremely effective. Next is Ace of Spades. This is unfortunately locked to Hunters, but its reload on precision kills, Firefly, and Third Eye make it fantastic for clearing out chaff. Not much more to say on exotics, so we're just going to go right into the legendaries. Obviously, Fatebringer is my main recommendation. Great stats and great perks. The Fatebringer roll, which is Firefly, Explosive Rounds, and Outlaw, is a fantastic combo on any hand cannon, though I would also recommend a hand cannon with an ability return perk. My personal choice is the Gaheris D with Spray and Play, Army of One, and Explosive Rounds. It only has 7 rounds in the mag, which isn't optimal, but Spray and Play more than makes up for it. Hand cannon recommendations are really simple, like shotguns. Is it a Fatebringer roll? If no, then it better have some pretty kick-ass perks. Now, my favorite primary weapons to use in PvE, Scout Rifles. Though not quite as hard-hitting as hand cannons, they more than make up for it with their vastly superior range, larger magazines, and higher potential rates of fire. I've got a lot of recommendations here. For exotics, the classic Mida multi-tool. When it comes to combat feel, it's pretty on par with other scouts in its archetype, maybe slightly higher base stats, but nothing super crazy. However, the insane movement speed bonus that it provides more than makes up for it. If you ever need a slight movement speed boost, Mida is their go-to. And who could forget Talalok, the Warlock exclusive scout rifle? Has intrinsic Grenadier, great base stats, and when your super is full, you get another stat increase and a rate of fire boost. And this rate of fire boost does not decrease your outgoing damage at all, so it's just a full-on DPS increase. It's an incredible option for all levels of PvE, especially ones where saving your super is a pretty good idea. Basically, if you're just ever running self-res. My recommendation for legendary scouts is pretty simple, but very widespread. Does it have explosive rounds? If yes, you're more or less set. Obviously, you want other strong perks like crowd control or an ability return perk, but the make or break, in my opinion, is explosive rounds, since it provides a 15% damage buff for free. Hand cannons and snipers also receive similar buffs from explosive rounds, which is why you'll see it so often. I'm currently farming for my Dream Scout Rifle, which is a Treads Upon Stars with a life support, explosive rounds, and Grenadier. The chances of this are unfortunately very low, but scouts with similar roles are top tier. Or scouts with the Fatebringer role, like the Wounded from Future War Cult. And one final recommendation for scout rifles, it's the Burning Eye from Year 3 Trials. You can still get it from the weekly scout rifle crucible bounty, though it's a fairly rare draw just to how many weapons are in that pool. But since it has barrel options instead of sights, you can put on aggressive ballistics and get 49 impact instead of the usual 48 that you see on 37 rate of fire scouts. This enables you to one-shot shanks in hard mode Wrath of the Machine, which you can't do otherwise with similar archetype scouts unless you have a damage perk. It's a kind of niche option, but it's pretty freaking cool. That's all I've got for my weapons shopping list. I tried to focus on gear that has a very direct path to obtain, or roles that a lot of weapons have to make rounding out your arsenal fairly simple. If you disagreed with any of my suggestions or have suggestions of your own, please leave them in the comments. I'd like to read through them. I appreciate you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless.